Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta-pada-kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Speak a little bit about Bhīṣma Pitāmah and take one verse from the 9th chapter of 1st canto and have some discussion on it. So we know the Chaturmas is very auspicious for performing the devotion service, and of Chaturmas the month of Kartika is even more auspicious, and in the month of Kartika the last 5 days of Kartik month, those are known as Bhīṣma Panchak. Those are even more, and I should say most auspicious. These 5 days are known as Bhīṣma Panchak or Vishnu Panchak. In our scriptures it is said that during these 5 days we should try to take some vow, particularly on the eating or the things what we like. We should try to sacrifice one of those items or more than one item in terms of eating. So if you do it, then you get the benefit of performing that austerity for the entire month. And it is called a Bhīṣma Panchak because as it is said that before Bhīṣma Deva departed from this material world, when he was on his way to leave this material world, that time he fasted during these 5 months as he was instructed by Lord Krishna. And Bhīṣma Panchak, another reason we all know Bhīṣma Pitāmah Dev. His original name was Devrata, right? But later on we started calling him Bhīṣma Panchak. Bhīṣma means, very strong, very fiery. So he is known as Bhīṣma Pitāmah Dev because of his vow. He took a vow for the pleasure of his father that I won't ask for the kingdom and I won't even marry, so that if I get married, then my son may ask for the kingdom. So he said, neither I will marry, neither I will ask for the kingdom, nor I'll get married. So that's how his father got married to another queen. And he maintained this vow throughout his life. And not only maintained his vow, but although he was staying in the palatial environment, but still he was always a renunciate. He did not get attached to any of the royal paraphernalia. And whenever we talk about the vows, I always remember when Maharaj was talking about Priya Vrata from the 5th canto. So as soon as he mentions about Priya Vrata, so Maharaj always says that our vows should be very dear to us. Priya means dear, Vrata means vows. Our vows should be very dear to us. But unfortunately, our vows are not dear to us. And the reason those things are not dear to us, our vows are not dear to us, because we don't love Krishna as much as we love so many other things. Now during the Kartik Mass or Bhish Panchak, we have to perform some austerity, right? So we don't perform the austerity, not able to perform the austerity. Why? Because we don't love that much as we love other things. We have the experience of, if there is a marriage in the house itself, we simply forget about eating, drinking, our bodily comfort, discomfort, right? The sole attention is to the function which is happening in the house. So if the same love or same attachment is to the Krishna, then certainly we will be able to maintain our vows. So one reason is about how much love we have got for Krishna. And second, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yesham tu andagatam pavam. We have so much accumulated sins that those sins, all the times they come on the path, they obstruct our vows, and we are not able to carry on with those vows. And so we have the accumulated sins as well as the sins what we do in the current life. Those also don't allow us to stick to our vows. So anyway, so Bhīṣma Pitāmah, he is known for maintaining his vow throughout his life, and he is also known to leave his body. He got the boon that he can leave his body whenever he wishes. And despite having this vow, he was allowed to leave his body whenever he wanted, but still he chose to stay on the death bed. No, it's not a death bed, it's a bed made of the arrows for quite a while. And it was not an ordinary bed, it is a bed made of the arrows. And the arrows, how many arrows we can't imagine. Between two arrows, you can't pass even one finger. So he was lying on that kind of bed, just waiting for Krishna to come and give him darshan, right? And that was his desire. So he stayed on that bed for quite a while. I do not know for how many days. And this last 5 days, known as Bhīṣma Panchaka 5, there is an episode in Mahabharata where Duryodhana alleged Bhīṣma Pitāmah that you're not fighting properly, that's why that you're not able to kill any of the Pandavas. So Bhīṣma Pitāmah, he got agitated and he took out 5 arrows and he chanted some mantras, and he said, with each of these arrows I am going to kill each of the Pandavas. And Duryodhana said, it's wonderful, but Duryodhana, he never trusted anybody, and he said, now these 5 arrows are ready to kill Pandavas, but I do not know what will happen in the night, maybe Bhīṣma Pitāmah changes his mind, so let me keep these arrows with me. So he took those arrows from Bhīṣma Pitāmah and kept with him, and in the meanwhile Krishna got to know that this is what has happened, and then he sent Duryodhana, and he said, sometime back you saved Kauravas, and that time Kauravas gave you a boon that okay, you can ask any wish, and it's a time to ask for that boon. And then Duryodhana went and got those 5 arrows back. And next morning when Bhīṣma Pitāmah, they wanted those arrows back, Duryodhana said, I don't have those arrows. And he said, where are those arrows? He said, you wanted it back. He said, I never wanted it back. So then they realized, okay, this is the plan of Krishna. And that time Bhīṣma Pitāmah, he got very much agitated. And that time he fought. That was the best day of his fight in the whole battlefield, during the battle of the Kurukshetra. He fought so rigorously that even Krishna, so-called, he got injured, he was bleeding profusely from his body. And when he chants his prayers in the Bhagavatam, he remembers that form of Krishna and he glorifies that form in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the 9th chapter. And Bhīṣma Pitāmah, he is known to give the pleasure to Krishna in the Veer Rasa mood. Veer Rasa means a fighting mood. Rasa means mellow and Veer means a fighting. So when Krishna has a desire to fight, he wants somebody to fight with him. Like we know Jai Vijay, the Veer Rasa mood. So same mood Bhīṣma Pitāmah also carried. He fought with Krishna. So that gave Krishna a pleasure of fighting. Like imagine if a small 2 or 3 months baby starts kicking the father and mother. Father and mother won't get hurt, right? But still they enjoy the kicking from the small kid. So the same mood Bhīṣma Pitāmah was carrying, and in the same mood he gave the pleasure to the Lord Krishna. And in the first canto, 9th chapter, Bhīṣma Pitāmah has spoken on 4 things. One is he is trying to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj. After the battle of Kurukshetra, Yudhishthira Maharaj was so much aggrieved. He thought all these people got killed because of my sinful activity, because of I instigated the war. The people around him, and people around him as all the great personalities, were trying to pacify him. And the more he was being pacified, the more he would cry. And even Lord Krishna tried to pacify him. But the Lord Krishna externally was trying to pacify him, but internally he was sitting in the heart of Yudhishthira Maharaj and instigating him not to be pacified. Because he wanted Bhīṣma Pitāmah to be glorified. He wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to go to Bhīṣma Pitāmah so that Bhīṣma Pitāmah gets an opportunity to preach the Pandavas. And preaching not in ordinary, preaching not in this type of luxurious environment when everything is favorable. Imagine a person is on the deathbed for quite a while, and before that he fought so rigorously in the battlefield. And again he was not a young man, right? What we see in the movies, a pretty old man. And that point of time, he chose to preach. So that's how Krishna wanted him to be glorified. So this was all the plan of Krishna. So there are 4 topics on which Bhīṣma Pitāmah spoke in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. First, he is trying to pacify all the Pandavas. The second, he is glorifying Lord Krishna. He is telling Pandavas that who is this Krishna, who is standing next to you. Please realize who is this personality. And the third, Lord Krishna wanted Bhīṣma Pitāmah to give some message to Pandavas on a Varnashrama Dharma. That's the third thing. And the fourth, just before, was about to leave his body. When he finished everything, then he simply concentrated his mind upon Krishna, and that time he chanted 11 verses. So those are purely the prayers which are sung by Bhīṣma Pitāmah in the glorification of Lord Krishna. So of these 4 topics, I am going to take one verse from the first part, because personally I like that episode very much. There are 6 verses from 9th chapter, verse number 12 to 18. And those verses are very pacifying, at least for me. So I have spoken on those verses a number of times, but whenever I speak, I feel quite relieved. And so from one of those verses, I am going to recite one verse. I believe, many of the devotees remember that verse. But still it's nice to recite the verse, particularly in the last day of the Damodar month and last day of the Bhish Panchak, and particularly in the evening. So this verse is chapter 9, first canto, 1-9-15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakte Bhavati Naishtaki Yatra Dharma Suto Raja Yatra dharma suto raja Gada panir vrakodaraha Gada panir vrakodaraha Krishno Sri Gandivam Chapam Krishno Sri Gandivam Chapam Surat Krishna Stato Vipat Surat Krishna Stato Vipat Yatra Dharma Suto Raja Gada Panir Vrakodaraha Krishno Sri Gandivam Chapam Surat Krishna Stato Vipat Yatra, where there is Dharma Sutaha, the son of Dharam Raja. Raja, the king. Gada Panihi, with his mighty club in hand. Vrakodaraha, Bhīṣma. Krishna, Arjuna. Astri, carrier of the weapon. Gandivam, Gandiva. Chapam, bow. Surat, well-wisher. Krishna, Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Tataha, thereof. Vipat, reverse. Translation. Oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthira, the son of the demigod, controlling religion, Bhīṣma, the great fighter with a club, the great bowman, Arjuna, with his mighty weapon, Gandiva, and above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. Purport by His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupāda, Jai Śrīla Prabhupāda.
As far as the material or spiritual resources were required, there was no scarcity in the case of Pandavas. Materially they are well equipped because two great warriors named Bhīṣma and Arjuna were there. Spiritually the king himself was a symbol of religion. And above all of them, the personality of Godhead, Lord Śrī Krishna, was personally concerned with their affairs as a well-wisher. And yet there were so many reverses on the side of the Pandavas. Despite the power of pious acts, power of personalities, power of expert management, the power of weapons, direct supervision of Lord Krishna, the Pandavas suffered so many practical bruises, which can only be explained and due to the influence of time, influence of Kala, inevitable time. Kala is identical with the Lord himself. Therefore, the influence of Kala indicates the inexplicable wish of the Lord himself. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. What a statement. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai.
So, Prabhu, we can offer that bhoga also. And after we offer the bhoga, we don't remove the bhoga. Leave it as it is. Right? Leave, Prabhu, leave. The bhoga darshan is auspicious. Bhoga darshan is auspicious. As I said, Bhīṣma Pitāmah is preaching when he is on the bed of the arrows, not on the deathbed, on the bed of the arrows. So it's very important that we concentrate on what he is saying. So he starts preaching from the verse number 12 of the 9th chapter. So the background, as I mentioned, that all the Pandavas have approached Bhīṣma Pitāmah there, and even Krishna is also next to the Pandavas. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is again in a mood of lamentation. He's not smiling, very Maharaj said a pumpkin face and a kaddu wala face. That kind of his mood, because being a Dharam Raj, he was feeling that because of me, so many lakhs and millions of people got killed, right? And So Bhīṣma Pitāmah, before he started preaching, he congratulates them. He said, okay, I congratulate you for your victory, that finally you won the battle. And Yudhishthira Maharaj says, Pitāmah, what is this victory? Because of this battle, so many people got killed. So many people got killed. He said, before this battle, we were suffering. And after the battle is over, I feel we are suffering even more. And that's where the Bhīṣma Pitāmah starts. And he says, Aho kastam, aho anyayam, yad yuyam dharam nandana. Aho kastam. So, first he shows his sympathy to the Pandavas. He doesn't start preaching directly that you are not the body, you are the soul, blah blah, right? So and so. So the first, he is showing the sympathy to the situation. He agrees with the Pandavas that yes, you are right, that you have suffered so much in the past, and aho kastam, aho anyayam. That not only you suffered, but you had to face so much injustice also. And despite dharam yad yuyam dharam nandana, despite the fact that you were the dharam nandana, you were the sons of religion personified. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj, he himself was the religion personified Dharmaraj, right? All was his younger brothers. And he said, how much you suffered? Jivitum narhata klishtam. Jivitum narhata klishtam. तुमको इतने कलेश आए कि जीवितुम ना हर हतम, हर हतम means deserve, कि you don't deserve to be alive, है ना, इतने कष्ट आए कि तुमको तो मर जाना चाहिए था, right? That much they suffered, and that's a fact, We can't imagine the miseries of the Pandavas, What Kunti Maharani says in the 8th chapter, right? Vishan Magne Purusha Darshana. One by one, if you count, we can't imagine how much he suffered or how much all the Pandavas they suffered. But still, they remained alive. And Bhīṣma Pitāmah is giving the reason why they stayed alive. They continue to live, right? And he says, Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashrayaha. Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashrayaha. Ashraya means shelter. Ashraya means being protected by. That you are being protected by Vipra Dharma Achyuta. That you are protected by Brahmanas, religion, and Achyuta means Lord Krishna. So why they were being protected by Vipra Dharma Achyuta? Because they took shelter of those three things. And Prabhupada says in the purport that in any trying circumstances of life, if you take shelter of any of these three things, you will remain protected. And what are those three things? Vipra means Brahmana. And who is the Brahmana? Brahma iti janati Brahmana, right? Who knows the Brahma? Brahma means Krishna. Or who takes us to Krishna? He is a Brahmana. Or you can say it's a Vaishnava, right? The devotees of Lord. You take the shelter of the devotee, that's the first thing, and you are protected. And when you take the shelter of the devotee, then the next thing, what will happen? They will engage you in the right dharma. We are all suffering due to our secondary religion, Varnashrama dharma, right? Because there we have the actions and reactions. But when we come to our main dharma, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo, Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje, right? Our supreme religion is to perform the devotion service. So when we take the shelter of the devotee, what will happen? Eventually, you will get engaged in the devotion service. And if you perform the devotion service, even in the trying circumstances of your life, that we continue to chant, we continue to Mangalarti, continue to Bhoga, continue to associate with the devotees. Mind may not be there, right? Doesn't matter. Krishna doesn't want the mind in the beginning. He wants our physical presence. He wants the activity to be performed, right? Activity must go on, right? That's all is required. Ahetu ki apratighata. That even in the trying circumstances of life, we continue to perform the devotion service, not to mitigate our miseries, right? Ahetu ki. That we don't perform the devotion service with an objective to mitigate the miseries. And apratihata. It doesn't get interrupted. Then yayatma suprasidati. Then even in those circumstances of life, we will be happy. And if we do these two things, if we take the shelter of the devotee, so if you take the shelter of the devotee, the devotees will take you the Paro Dharma, the supreme religion. And when you do these two things, automatically Krishna is there. And when you do these three things, like Kunti Maharani, she enjoyed the whole life. She enjoyed so much, she wanted those sufferings again and again. She did not have any impact of those sufferings on her. And that's what Prabhupada says in the purport. See this, for the 6 verses, the purports are so nice. Very small purports, but each and every line is coming from Prabhupada's heart. Rather, everything is coming from Prabhupada's heart. But when you start reading and meditating upon it, it is so wonderful that Prabhupada says that as long as a person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency, however trying the circumstances of life. Bhīṣma Deva, as one of the authorities in this line, wanted to impress this point upon the Pandavas. So very first thing he told the Pandavas that there is no reason for you to be dejected. And Bhīṣma Pitāmah said that aho klishtam, aho anyayam, that so much injustice happened to you. And this battlefield or the battle of Kurukshetra was to counteract that injustice. It was not because of you. And during that battlefield, so many people got killed. So it was not because of you that so many people got killed. So don't worry about the people who got killed. And then in the next verse, he remembers the miseries what Kunti suffered. Because Kunti was his daughter-in-law. Right? And he said, you are lamenting for all these people who got killed. And you're lamenting for this suffering. But just think of your mother. She has been suffering since she got married. Right? Immediately after she got married, husband died, right? And then after whatever miseries Pandavas they suffered, we all know about those miseries. And then another important thing, Bhīṣma Pitāmah says, Yushmat krite bahun kleshan. Yushmat krite. Yushmat krite pehle to, before marriage, she suffered because of her own karma. And after marriage, after having you, she is suffering because of your karma. So the point is that from our own karma, not only we suffer, but even people around us get into trouble. They also get into sufferings. So the way, because of our own act, other people get into trouble. Because of our material acts, other people can get into trouble. So similarly, from our spiritual activities, other people can be out of the trouble. Right or not? It cannot be one way. So if one person performs a bad act in the family, everybody gets affected, right or not? That's about the bad act. So similarly, if one person becomes a devotee, then everybody in the family gets the positive things, right or not? So that's what we should remember from Bhīṣma Pitāmah, what he's trying to teach us, that you just focus on your own devotional service, right? Don't worry so much about what has happened in the past, right? You're lamenting, that's fine. As a good soul, you're lamenting. But remember, just think, see your mother, right? Mother did not lament like you're lamenting. She suffered more than you, right? So that's the second point Bhīṣma Pitāmah is telling us. And Bhīṣma Pitāmah says, and rather Prabhupada is saying, that this means that she was destined to suffer by providence, and this one has to tolerate without being disturbed. So he's telling the way your mother tolerated all these things without being disturbed, you should also tolerate these miseries without being disturbed. Otherwise, you won't be able to perform your own duty. Now you have the whole kingdom to look after, and if you stay like this, in the dejected mood, who will look after them? You are like their father. That's what Bhīṣma Pitāmah says in the subsequent verses. And then Bhīṣma Pitāmah says that Sarva Kala Kritam Manye Bhavtam Cha Yad Priyam Sapalo Yad Vashi Loko Vayu Revi Ghana Valihi. Then Bhīṣma Pitāmah says, I do not know why did you suffer so much. Right? You want me to tell you why you had to suffer so much, why your mother has to suffer so much. He says, I do not know what was the reason of suffering. And Sarva Kala Kritam Manye. He said, the only thing I can say is that this is due to the effect of the Kala. And he explains how Kala affects everybody. Like you see the clouds, they are controlled by what? They are controlled by the wind. Cloud has no independence, right? They are simply carried away by the wind. So similarly, we are all also carried away by the effect of time. And what is time? Time is a representative of Krishna, right? So that means we all get carried away by the wishes of Krishna. So whenever, if there is a wish of Krishna, then what can we do, right? We have to simply accept it. Many times people, they say, we see so many philosophies, so many lectures and all, right? Why the good people suffer, right? Why this happened to me? I've been doing so and so for so many years. Why this is happening to me? Nothing, there is no reason for that. Nobody can explain it, right? We have to simply go back to these 6 verses. 1, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Just 6 verses. And read these verses. Read them, not read. Study them, study the purport. That's all. And after that, no more questions. no more anxiety, right? So anyway, so Sarva Kala Kirtam Manye. Prabhupada is saying in the purport that the effect of Kala is on everybody. It's on the pious people as well as on the impious people. But what is the difference between the two kind of people? When they face the effect of Kala or when they face these kind of miseries, the non-pious people or the people who have the less faith in Krishna, they give up the shelter of Krishna. But the devotees of the Lord, right, or the people who have taken the shelter of Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta, they remain faithful to the Lord, even in this trying circumstances of life. So again, the Prabhupada is making the point that if you want to maintain your faith in Krishna in the trying circumstances of life, then how that will happen? It will happen Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta, Ashraya. When you continue to remain in the shelter of very first thing, the devotees. Don't give up the shelter of the devotees. Continue to associate with them. Then the rest of the thing will automatically fall in place. And then we are on the verse number 15, where we read the Yatra Dharma Suto Raja Gada Pani Vrako Dharha Krishno Sri Gandivam Chapam Suhrit Krishna Sato Vipam. So this is the continuation of verse 14. That's what Prabhupada explains. He says, oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. So the verse number 14 is explained in the verse number 15. Right? It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses when Yatra Dharma Suto Raja? When there is a Dharma Sutta, when there is a religion personified, Dharma Sutta, when the son of religion himself was there, Yudhishthira Maharaj was there, right? Religion was there. Gada Panir Vrakodara, when Bhīma, physical strength was there. Bhīma was so powerful. And the power of weapon, Krishno Sri Gandivam Chapan. कि ऐसा आदमी जिसने वाव लिया था कि कभी धनुष बाण नीचे नहीं रखूंगा मैं, ना. और इन सबको छोड़ो, सुहृत कृष्ण ततो विपद. इन सबको छोड़ो, सुहृत. When Krishna himself, who is the most supreme benefactor, who is always wishing well for all the living entities, all the times he was with the Pandavas. Suhrat Krishnas tato vipad. Uske baad bhi vipada aayi. So who can explain it? That's why Prabhupada says in the translation, that how wonderful is the influence of the time, right? And this is the inexplicable. Nobody can explain it. Why did they suffer? At any point of time, we feel that I have done so much in my life. I have done so much for Krishna, so much for Guru Maharaj. I studied so much Bhagavatam, so much chanting, blah, blah, right? And then why I'm suffering? Then we should go back to this verse. This verse we should never forget. Yata Dharma Suto Raja Gada Panir Rakodara Krishno Sri Gandivam Chapam Suhrat Krishna's people Tato Vipatan. Forget our own strength. Even the son of religion had to suffer. So there is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being, right? So when something is beyond our control, like the clouds, they have no independence, right? They are simply controlled by wind. So there is no point in lamenting and wasting, spoiling our current as well as the future, right? Yudhishthira, what was he doing? He was lamenting, right? The problem, he was lamenting. So in that context, Prabhupada is speaking. And most of the time, we lament for what happened in the past, isn't it? We don't lament for the present, what is happening. We don't lament for the future, because future we have not seen. Most of the times, when we are busy even in our current things, we are lamenting, what is happening in the past. That's what bothers us the whole day, right? Even when we chant, even that time also, lamentation really bothers us. And the next verse, Prabhu, Nahi yasya karhichid rajan, puman veda vidit sitam yad vijikyasaya yukta muhyanti kavyopi. It is such a nice verse. Here Prabhupada is saying, no one can know the plan of the Lord Krishna. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. Many times, we want to find out, right, what is the plan. Not we want to find out the plan of the Lord. Rather, we want our plans to work, right? If we want to find out the plan of the Lord, then there is no problem, right? But we don't want to find out the plan of the Lord. Rather, we plan with our own mind, with our own senses, which are defective, right? And we want all those plans to work. So, nahi yasya karichid rajan, puman veda vidit sitam. And when our plans don't work, then we wonder why our plans did not work, right? So here, Bhīṣma Pitāmah is telling us, nahi yasya karichid rajan, there is nobody. Puman means this anyone. Veda means knowing. Vidit sitam is the plan, what Krishna wants. Yad vijigyasaya yukta. First of all, nobody can know the Krishna's plan. And second, if anybody tries to find out what is the plan of Krishna, then what happens to them? Muhyanti kavyopi. Even the great people get bewildered in trying to ascertain what is the plan of the Lord. And that's where the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam also starts and it gives us the warning. They don't try to find out the plan of the Lord. What is Janmadiyasya? Muhyanti yad surya. Very first, second line. Muhyanti. Yes, bade log bhi chakra jate hain ki what is the plan of Krishna. Brahmaji could not ascertain, right? Brahma Vyonila. Indra could not ascertain the plan of the Lord, right? Everybody gets bewildered when it comes to knowing the plan of the Lord. So who are we to know the plan of the Lord? So when we cannot know the plan of the Lord, we get baffled in knowing the plan of the Lord. So what we should do? Prabhupada is writing very nicely in the purport. Very nice punching statement is there. So in these circumstances, when we are in the middle of the miseries, we have made so many plans, and one after other, all those plans are failing, right? So what should we do? So Prabhupada says, the best policy is simply to abide by the orders of the Lord without argument. We take so many policies, right? We have the car policy, health policy, insurance, so many policies are there in the market. But none of the policies will work in the trying circumstance of life, right? Nothing will work out. So ultimately, we have to take the shelter of the policy what Prabhupada has given the Bhagavatam. The best policy is simply to abide by the orders of the Lord, and the more importantly, without argument, right? No argument. Yes, my Lord. This is how you want me to live. So I accept it. I tried my best, right? I tried my best. And my best, we shouldn't try like Gajendra. Gajendra, the problem with the Gajendra, he tried for 1000 years, right? And then he took the shelter of Krishna. He shouldn't have tried his own. भाई थोड़ी देर ट्राई करता है उसको, बाद में भगवान की शरण ले लेता. He did not do. On the other side, in the Govardhan Leela, as soon as the Brajvasi they got to know they're in trouble, immediately Krishna, 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 right? So I'm not saying that we should not try, we should not make our efforts, We have to make our own efforts. We should endeavor whatever we can do. But excessive endeavor, atyahar prayashasya, it would kill everything. It would kill your devotion service as well as it will kill your planning also. That's why Guru Maharaj would always say, Krishna willing, Krishna willing, Krishna willing, all the times. Add Krishna, add Krishna, add Krishna to whatever you do, whatever you think, whatever you plan, whatever you say. Krishna willing, Krishna willing, Krishna willing. Because we don't have any independence. Any independence. Sa swatantrata kalpasid. Sa swatantrata na kalpasid. There is this Narada was telling about his mother, Sa swatantrata. She wanted to protect me. Right? But Sa swatantrata. But she herself was not independent. She was also dependent on somebody. Yog Shema Mamachiti. Mere ko bachana chahti thi, but she herself was dependent on somebody. So we take the shelter of so many things, But we should remember those shelters will work as long as Krishna wants them to work. If Krishna does not want them to work, we may have hundreds and millions of dirhams in the bank, hundreds and millions of policies, hundreds and millions of houses, right? Hundreds and millions of doctors' parents, whatever it is, right? Nothing will work, So the best policy is simply to abide by the orders of the Lord. And and another thing, just one thing, I wanted to share one verse, from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It is in 7th canto, 10th chapter, 64 verse. This fits very well. Yeah. Once Devaki Prabhu took the class on this verse, and it says, Devo suro naro anyova neshvara astiha kasyana atmano anyasya vadishtam devena pohitum dvayoho. Maya Danav, he was a demon. Once the demons got defeated by the demigods, so they all approached Maya Danav for the protection. Maya Danav built 3 cities, invisible cities. He said, okay, go and stay there in those cities and keep attacking the demigods, right? And the demigods approached Lord Shiva for the protection. Lord Shiva, because of his power, he killed those cities, right? Tripurari. And with that, all those demons fell into a well of the nectar, which was again created by Maya Danav. So the demons, when they got the nectar, they got the life back, and they started again attacking the demigods. And that time everybody approached the Lord, and the Lord, along with Brahmaji, took the form of a cow and calf, and they went to the well and drank all the nectar. So the well got dried. The well got dried. That means the demons, they started losing their life. And that time Maya Danav surrendered himself. And that time Maya Danav is reciting this verse. He said, Deva suro naro anyova na ishvara astiya kasyana atmano anyasya vad dvishtam deveno pohatim dvayor. So Ishvaraha dishtam. Ishvara means Krishna, dishtam means destined. Whatever has been destined by Krishna, for whom atmano anyasya, तुम्हारे लिए, अपने लिए, मेरे लिए, या जो मेरे आसपास जितने लोग हैं उनके लिए, और या मेरे लिए और आसपास जितने लोग हैं उनके लिए, आत्मनस्य अन्यस्य और द्वयो, दोनों के लिए, मेरे लिए, आसपास जितने लोग हैं उनके लिए, या सबके मिला के लिए, right? Whatever has been destined by the Lord, apohitam. Apohitam means undone. Cannot be undone. By whom? Cannot be undone by demigods, cannot be undone by demons, cannot be undone by human beings. Anya means cannot be undone by anybody else. So who is left out now? Who is left now? Krishna, right. So Maya did not include Krishna in this, right? What he wanted to say, although he is a demon, but his philosophy is clear, right? His philosophy is very much clear. He knows that whatever has been destined cannot be undone. Like हमारे Microsoft में होता है ना, do undo, right? So no undone except Lord Krishna, right? So that's the point again. What is emphasized here, that instead of depending on so many people for a long time unnecessarily, counting on them without taking the shelter of Krishna, better you take the shelter of Krishna from the very beginning. And even after taking the shelter of Krishna, you feel that you are suffering, then wherever you go, suffering will not come down. Sufferings will not come down. It will remain as, rather it will aggravate. Suppose a small kid leaves the shelter of father and mother, thinks my father and mother are not taking care of me well, right? What will happen? He will have to suffer more, right? The same thing with us. In the middle of the sufferings, if we leave the shelter of Krishna, then we are into more trouble. And then finally, now verse number 17, Bhīṣma Pitāmah is concluding. And what he says, Tasmad idam devatantram. Tasmad imam devatantram. Tasmad means therefore, devatantram, enchantment of providence only. Tantra hota hai na, mantra tantra, ye tantram, ki ye sab jal, ye Bhagwan ka hi hai na, right? But we should not think Krishna wants us to suffer. We should not think Krishna wants us to suffer. We must remember, Suhrat Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna is our Mata, Pita, best friend, everything, right? His only objective is to correct us, to bring us back to his shelter. Right? That's the point we forget. So all the times we say, okay, why on me? Why I'm suffering? That's the point. So then, and here, this is the purport, Prabhuji Mataji. And here in the purport, again, Prabhupada makes a very nice statement. And what is that statement, Prabhuji Mataji? It says, a devotee's duty, therefore, is to ungrudgingly accept tribulations from the Lord as a benediction. Many times we hear the duties of a devotee, right? कि अच्छा भाई डिवोटीज को क्या क्या करना चाहिए, सोले माला करना चाहिए, मंगला आरती करना चाहिए, भोग लगाना चाहिए, ऑफिस में काम अच्छी तरह से करना चाहिए, राइट? ये सब सुनते हैं कि नहीं? बट जो ड्यूटी प्रभुपाद जी ने बताया, वो ड्यूटी आज तक किसी ने नहीं बताया हमको, और ना आगे कोई बताएगा हमको. एंड व्हाट इज दैट ड्यूटी? अ डिवोटीज ड्यूटी therefore is to ungrudgingly accept tribulations from the Lord as a benediction. So Prabhupada is also concluding here. The devotee's duty, therefore, is to accept what? Tribulations. And but what should be the mood to accept the tribulations? What should be the mood? Ungrudgingly. First of all, there shouldn't be any grudges, right? And then second, more importantly, as a benediction. This is the benediction upon me by the Lord. And if you do it, then we are a devotee. If you don't do it, then we are missing something to be a devotee. Right? So, and pure devotee of the Lord accepts tribulations as favors from the Lord. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no mundane difference between the two. That whether we have the benedictions or we have the tribulations. Since the Lord is absolute, so in either case, we should be happy. We should not have any cause of despondency. So anyway, Prabhuji Mataji said, just in the brief, I wanted to cover some of the punchlines given by Prabhupada. Those are very, not only purifying, but those are also very pacifying also. So we all should try to meditate upon those punchlines. And particularly whenever you feel you are distressed, you are not happy, you are dejected, you wonder why this has happened to me, how can I get rid of these things, right? The best thing, don't go to anybody else. Don't go to any Panditji, blah, blah, right? Nothing will work out, right? Simply go to this 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? These 6-7 verses, and that's all. And if you go to the 8th chapter, that's also wonderful. Right? So just 8th and 9th chapter of Bhagavatam are enough to protect us or to support us in any trying circumstances of our life. And we should remember, Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashraya. 3 things we should never give up. Of 3 things, what is the first thing? Devotee shelter. Devotees association. We should never ever give up. Whether we have the faith or don't have the faith, in the association devotees, simply come for the program. Simply come for the program. Simply come for the program. We will remain protected. Okay, Prabhuji Mataji. So, thank you very much for your time. Hare Krishna. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Śrīla Gurudev ki jai.
Today, this verse is exactly applicable for me today. Thank you very much. You have taken the right verse for me.
I think it's applicable for everyone.
But especially one. Yeah.
I have a question.
No, not for you, Prabhu, but this is for more than anybody. It's for me, Prabhu. Whenever I speak on these verses, it gives me so much relief. So much relief, I just can't tell you, right? So this is for everybody. And whenever I read these verses, I get something new. Like just now, I told you one point about Kunti's suffering. Like Bhīṣma is telling, because of your acts, your mother had to suffer. So then I realized that, okay, yes, because of my act also, so many people are suffering. But again, if I do a good act, they will also benefit, right? So same thing, we should continue to think, how can I improve in my devotion service? And I don't give up that. Everybody around us, even if they are not devotees, they would get the benefit. Sometime back, one person asked me, I think one Prabhuji asked me that, okay, people say, can you pray for me? Can you pray for me, right? Does it work? I said, yes, why not? It works. He said, how? I said, everybody has different degree of love and relationship with the Lord. I have certain kind of relationship with the Lord. That may not work, but you may have better relationship with the Lord. So when we pray for someone else, it's my relationship. It's your relationship. That is what which works in the given situation. So the prayers on behalf of other devotees, that really works. It's a fact.